Hey there YouTube, Silver Shepherd here. Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you've been thinking about getting into gold stacking but not sure where to begin, this is just the video for you because I make videos covering anything and everything gold and silver related. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the basics of what is gold stacking, what types of gold people buy, where to get it, and some beginner mistakes I really wish people warned me about so I didn't make them. Without any further ado, let's get straight into this video. So, number one, what is gold stacking? And gold stacking is pretty simple. It's about owning physical gold and holding on to it as a long-term store of value. People stack gold for lots of reasons: hedging against inflation, building generational wealth, or just wanting something that they can, hold physically. Like this gold piece right here. I can hold this. Numbers in a bank account or stocks, you can't hold that. It's digital. All this stuff is physical. You can do what you want with it and you have it. It's something that has been used for thousands of years for, as currency, as many other things. So it's good for preserving your wealth, being physical. You can really do stuff with it. But why we should stack gold, and that is because it has stood through the test of time. Empires, financial crises, anything like that, during currency changes, gold has kept its value and just kept going up. It's a kind of like an insurance policy. It is always going to be there. It will always keep your wealth, keep your value, and it's a great thing. So whenever the dollars go down, whenever your currency isn't worth as much, gold gets stronger. It goes up. When portfolios and stocks are down, gold goes up. It's a great thing for keeping balance and staying strong. And, having $2,000 in your hands is quite easy. You can't do that with, many other assets, positive assets that you can have. It's good. It's easy, portable. You can always do stuff with it. It's a great thing. So the first real tip is, what should we buy? And this is where a lot of people can go wrong because there's a lot of different types of gold to buy, but I would always recommend and start with gold coins like the American Gold Eagle, Canadian Maple Leaf, or Krugerrands. These are government-backed, government-denominated. They're easy to sell and recognizable worldwide, and that is because they are government, backed, very liquid. You can always sell these, in times of need. You can always get something for these. Next up is some like the gold bar, like how you see right there. So this is a 1 gram gold bar. I wouldn't recommend getting a gram gold bar. I would say don't go below an ounce, and that is just because the premiums will be a lot lower for this gold bar. I way overpaid for it just because it is such a tiny denomination, but I wish someone did tell me about that type of stuff whenever I first started getting into it. But it is very space effective just because they're easy to stack and things like that. But next up is fractional gold, and this is just pieces smaller, like 1/10, 1/4, half an ounce, 3/4 of an ounce. These are easier on the budget if you don't have as much money to spend at once, but are higher in the long run because you're paid more per ounce. And then the last thing is something like junk gold. Now, it's not like how junk silver was. This is basically just pre-33 gold that was used as currency up until 1933. But this isn't true, junk. It is still worth an insane amount. It's similar to junk silver, but not really at the same time. It's never called junk gold. It is just pre-33 gold, but still the closest thing we have to the junk type of thing. But even if you have to start small, see what you like. The important thing is just get started and just get buying. Having some is better than having none. But if you're gonna buy these things, the next thing you want to know is where to get these, and you will always want to stick to trusted sources. And if I was gonna order and buy precious metals online, I would use these 3 places: JM Bullion, SD Bullion, and APMEX. Out of those, if I had to order, I would do SD Bullion. They have the cheapest prices, and I think they just do things the best. They're probably the biggest, and there are things like that. But I will warn you, on things, on online dealers, you will pay higher fees just because If you pay with credit or debit card, you will be charged more. If you're going to order online, always go with check or wire transfer. Then you will get it at the exact cost of what it is. There will be no extra fees. And always order what it takes to get the free shipping. Every single little fee and price goes into the total cost of your stack. And we want to keep this as low as we can, get the most weight for our dollar. The next thing, which is what I always go with, is LCS or local coin shop. You can build relationships and, get some good deals, but you also pay in cash. So you will always pay less than what you do if you go online. And they're just great. You can see everything firsthand, make sure it's real, make sure it's legit, everything like that. However, if you are in places like SD, APMEX, or JM, they will always be real. You don't have to worry about, the fraud or anything like that. These are great places that, will really take care of you. But avoid places like eBay or Facebook. Some people are scummy. They will scam you. And gold is too valuable. It costs too much for you to risk your money, take a chance of losing it. It's just not worth it. Always go to trusted places. Even if it seems like you're getting a really good deal on something like Facebook or eBay, it's a scam. Do not do it, please. But how much should you spend whenever you go to order? And gold isn't cheap, so it is hard. You want a dollar cost average and pace yourself. You don't want to go dump thousands in at one time if you have that much money to spend. But you want to treat it like a savings account. Set aside a certain percentage of what you get each week or month, and then go buy gold from a LCS or online. Some people go with 5 to 10% of their savings or income straight into precious metals. Pay yourself first. You want something that rewards you in the long run. No matter how small of a thing you have to buy, all that matters is you get started and you buy it for what you can. So you just want to buy savings. Again, like we said, hedge against the inflation. When everything else is down, gold is up. You want to preserve your wealth and make it last generations. Even if it's just for retirement, you start to sell then, it will always be worth more, and it is always a good choice to do. But now, to protect your stack, how to store it. You don't need thousands upon thousands of dollars of safety precautions, but you do need a solid plan. A solid home safe is a great start. Or some people do use safety deposit boxes and private vault storage. One thing I will warn you about, if you go with the home safe, always make sure you can bolt it in. Make sure it's fireproof. And please get it insured. If something were to happen and it gets broken into, you will never find these metals again. So make sure you can, get some of your money back at least. But you always want to be as protected as you possibly can. Whatever option of those you choose, keep it discreet. Don't tell a bunch of people, where it is or what you have. You want to be somewhat secretive about what you have. If it were to get stolen, like I said before, it's never coming back. But some of these beginner mistakes that I see all the time and that you really do need to avoid. I made some. I've seen some other people, close to me that also stack, make some of these. And so the biggest one is overpaying. Always check the current spot price and premiums across websites. And some websites, online dealers, like I mentioned before, they have a deals tab, which each week they come out with new deals for their precious metals. Sometimes you can go snag one and it gets cheaper. Always look for things like that and make sure, they're not overcharging you or anything like that. The next thing I would say is ignoring liquidity. You don't want to buy super niche or, super design focused coins. Like I've seen some that are coins, but with like Deadpool. And those will be super hard to sell. And not only that, they will cost a bunch of money, which, is, I guess, okay if you already have a very established stack. But we do want to avoid that. We want the lowest cost possible. We want the most ounces for $1. And then whenever you go to sell, you will not make that premium back up. You will not get that money back. So that is not good. Whenever we sell, we want as much money as we possibly can. That's why we're doing this in the first place. So don't do that. Don't buy slabbed coins either. Again, you won't be able to make that premium back up once you go to sell. And it's going to cost you a bunch more whenever, you're going to initially buy it. And going too big too fast. Don't drain your savings just to buy everything at once. build it slowly, dollar cost average like I had mentioned before. But any way you can, get started and buy some gold. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It's about holding real value and building your own little reserve piece by piece. Start small, be consistent, and stay patient. And if this video helped, go ahead and like the video, subscribe for more gold and silver content, and drop a comment. What was your first gold purchase, or what are you planning on getting next? I'd love to hear your stack. I read every comment. Thank you so much for tuning in.